If you've been charged with an offence, don't give up hope. There's lots that can be done to try to stop this case going any further. There's a recent case that we dealt with that illustrates the point. We had a client who was charged with a sexual assault. Strangely, the sexual assault took place in a supermarket. So in this case, there were CCTV cameras around. There was other forms of evidence apart from, or in addition to, the word of the complainant, the young lady that was allegedly assaulted. In most sexual assault cases, there is no other evidence apart from the word of the complainant. So this case was different, and the prosecution service felt they had a strong case because not only did they have the word of the complainant, but they also had CCTV cameras and video evidence. So on the face of it, the prosecution had quite a strong case. The client came to us when he had been charged. We then started to go through the evidence. And as normal, we're entitled to see the evidence, including CCTV. We obtained the CCTV, reviewed it, and I went through it with my team, and we all felt that the evidence was lacking. It didn't really show what we expected it to show. The claimant said that she was groped on her bottom. My client said that just didn't happen. If anything, it was an inadvertent brush past. There was no sexual intention. There's nothing like that. But nonetheless, the prosecution wanted to continue. We spent some time liaising with the prosecution lawyers to try to convince them that this is not one that should go forward. There was no reasonable prospect of a conviction, and therefore the case should be discontinued. It should be dropped. Strangely, the prosecution insisted that they had the right evidence and they had a good case. I was perplexed. I wrote to them and said, well, where is this evidence? Is there additional video evidence? Because from what I could see, the evidence is not there. There was nothing further, and yet they wanted to continue the prosecution. What we then did, and why it's important for you to have the correct legal advice to advise you properly as to all the possibilities of your case. But in this situation, we then took the prosecution service back to court because we lodged an application with the judge to have the case thrown out. So we had to serve notice on the prosecution to say why we think their case is rubbish, for want of a non-legal phrase. We then took the prosecution to court, and the judge would then look at the evidence. The whole point of that was not deciding whether somebody's guilty or not, but deciding whether those proceedings should be stopped, whether there was enough evidence for it to continue, whether the evidence was good enough for it to go before a jury. And when the judge actually looked at the evidence, the judge actually said to the prosecution barrister, "Is this it? Is this your evidence?" And the prosecution barrister said, "Yep, this is it. We think this is great evidence. We think this is enough to prove the case." And the judge, in effect, said, "No, I'm sorry. It's a nonsense. The evidence is just not there. I'm not letting this case go before the judge and threw the case out." That's it. It was all over. So that's an example where being proactive, trying to do something early, don't just sit around and wait for a trial, because it may be too late. You need to have the work done early by putting the preparation work in. That's the key. Most criminal cases, most sexual assault cases, any sexual offence case, if you're being prosecuted, you don't leave it until a trial. Whether you are successful or not largely comes down to the preparation work. If the right preparation is done, it greatly increases your chance of success. But by doing the preparation early, it gives you the chance of stopping that case going any further, stopping it after 2 months as opposed to 2 years and trying to deal with it at a trial. And of course, having all the additional expense to get to that stage. So please contact us early so we can review your case fully and give you the very best advice.